Good morning. It's great to see everyone come back this morning. Hope that after the past 2 days you know more about NIEM than you did when you came. And if you didn't, we didn't do our job. I did read through the evaluations, and I heard what you were saying. I want to I want to dig in deeper. I want to get into more of the XML schema. I heard I need more overview. I need more context from a higher level view. I'm new. I didn't quite understand it. And so, we did hear, and we will try to adjust next year. Just know that all of the presentations were taped. We have put the link for where they are on the NIEM.gov and a few other places, LinkedIn, and it's been tweeted out about a couple hundred times. So please go back if you think you missed something. There were some very deep technical presentations there. You might not have gotten to them, and please let us know in your favorite format if you have any other recommendations. I would like to bring up, yesterday in my keynote, I spoke of probably one of the single reasons that we survived as a program was because of the executive sponsorship of Mr. Van Hitch. Van is now the godfather of CIOs, I read, the oldest seated CIO at the Federal Council. And I wish I had the Godfather music. It would be a great intro. He has been a supporter of NIEM. He actually has been the driving force behind why we are here today. And with no further ado, Mr. Van Hitch.
Thank you, Donna. First of all, I'd like to just say that I'm absolutely thrilled to be here and hope that this conference has been all that you wanted it to be. I'm really here to introduce our keynote speaker for the morning, but I can't resist the opportunity to tell you how gratifying it is for me, having been involved with NIEM from its beginning, to look out over this large audience of state, local, tribal, federal employees, vendors, contractor employees, and look at the impressive agenda that Donna and her team has put together and that you all have gone through, and hear the many success stories that I hear all the time from all across the country and that you all have been a part of. NIEM is already a resounding success, but it has the potential to grow significantly more. And as it does so, its value increases exponentially to you, the main practitioners of NIEM. It has the potential to grow beyond its current emphasis in terms of domains to the healthcare industry, transportation, and certainly internationally. We have tremendous interest from the international community about NIEM. I state this as both a prediction but also a challenge to all of you, so please keep up the good work that you're doing, working with NIEM to pursue our goals of information sharing, interoperability, and certainly cost-effective IT solutions. Now I will turn to my principal reason for being here this morning, and that is to introduce our keynote speaker, the Federal CIO, Vivek Kundra. Vivek is, as I said, our Federal CIO. He's also what I call an FON, a friend of NIEM. Vivek is a rising star in technology, not just nationally but internationally. He's already made his mark in all sectors of government, and now he's making it in the federal government. He's shown that he is really a visionary in the application of technology to government issues. And in his short period that he's been our Federal CIO, he's got a lot of major accomplishments already under his belt, such as recovery.gov, data.gov, apps.gov, and certainly the new federal IT dashboard that many of you may be familiar with. Vivek was named the Federal CIO on March 5th, 2009 by President Barack Obama. In that role, Vivek directs the policy and strategic planning of the federal information technology investments and is responsible for oversight of federal technology spending. The Federal CIO establishes and oversees enterprise architecture and ensures systems interoperability and privacy. The Federal CIO also works with the Chief Technology Officer to advance the President's technology agenda. Prior to his appointment as the federal CIO, Vivek was named by Mayor Adrian Fenty as the Chief Technology Officer of the District of Columbia. And prior to the district, he was appointed by Governor Timothy Kaine as the Assistant Secretary of Commerce and Technology for the Commonwealth of Virginia. In this dual cabinet role, it was the first dual cabinet role in the state's history, and Vivek developed technology innovations to streamline government and enhance business opportunities, including a dashboard that uses business intelligence to maximize the participation of citizens in state procurements. In the private sector, prior to coming to government, Vivek led technology companies serving national and international customers. He served as Vice President of Marketing for Evincible Software, a company focused on electronic signatures and identity management for the financial services and defense sectors. And as CEO of Creostar, he advised clients on government and industry on IT, governance, and strategy. And even prior to that, he dipped his toe in the government waters at the local level and served as the Director of Infrastructure Technology for Arlington, Virginia. So as you can see, Vivek has, in his relatively short because of his youth, but very long in terms of accomplishments of his experience in the government sector and in the private sector. So please join me in welcoming our federal CIO, Vivek Kundra.
Good morning. How's everyone doing? Well, thanks very much for that kind introduction, Van. I want to recognize, before I begin, the hard work that both Justice and DHS have done to advance the agenda when it comes to NIEM. And more importantly, as we think about it, if we lift up beyond looking at the technical standards, I can't think of a better activity in the public sector that ultimately saves taxpayer dollars and, more importantly, makes sure that we're serving the American people more effectively. If we think about this, from the very beginning of the NIEM standard, I was talking to Van about this, it was created not because somebody just came up with a notion of wanting to create a standard for standard's sake, but it was to address a huge problem in the public sector when it came to law enforcement and scaled to DHS in terms of thinking about how do we protect the American people? How do we make sure that we're exchanging information in ways that allow us to act more effectively and efficiently when it comes to the United States government, not just at the federal level, but at the state and local level? My journey began in government actually at the local level on September 11th, 2001. I was in the middle of an interview for a position in Arlington County. And I recall as I was sitting in that interview, somebody knocked on the door and said, "We've entered federal emergency." It was a little after 8:30 in the morning. And I looked at the panel that was interviewing me, wondering, what did I say that we've entered this federal emergency? And shortly after, we saw the second plane go into the World Trade Center on TV. And from Arlington County, you could literally see the smoke coming out of the Pentagon itself. After I began the job, I realized very quickly some of the significant challenges at the local level when it came to information sharing. The fire department could not share information with the police department. We had made massive investments when it came to information technology, yet they didn't yield the results we were looking for. When I had the opportunity to serve at the state level, we ran into similar problems. Investments that were being made in healthcare, education, economic development, they were being made in ways that were extremely inefficient, because what ended up happening was we would plow more capital in trying to get these systems to interoperate than we would actually extracting value and delivering value out of those systems. In the District of Columbia, firsthand, I dealt with a lot of these issues. When you looked at the investments that we were making at the local level, the police officers on the front lines as we sat down and thought about how do we move public safety to the 21st century, how do we make sure that we could make technology investment to bring down crime in the district. One of the biggest challenges that I noticed right away was that I could walk into a local coffee shop and I had more computing power in my hands with my laptop and my iPhone than the average police officer. What was worse was the way things were integrated, the multiple systems and stovepipes that were built on archaic standards, no thinking around interoperability. It didn't really allow them to serve the district residents more effectively. So we moved forward aggressively and implemented technology in the police cruisers and made sure that it was built in an architecture that was NIEM compliant. And as we think about all the other investments that we're making as a federal government, we spend over $76 billion annually on information technology. Yet, if you look at what Department of Justice has done and what DHS has done, they've come together and have agreed that they're going to focus on the NIEM standard, and they're going to make sure not only within the four walls of the department, but also in terms of how grant money is allocated, that it's built on this underlying standard. But what's really important about the standard itself is that the work being done isn't coming from a hierarchical approach. It's very congruent with the President's philosophy on making sure that we're tapping into the ingenuity of the American people, the federal workforce, the states, and the local governments. It's you who are on the front lines, day in and day out, that are spending the time working on these standards. It's you on the front lines that are looking at these investments that we're making and rationalizing them and figuring out, well, why do we need 20 different ways of approaching the same problem? Let's consider what happened at the local level on just addresses and how important this is. I know a lot of people don't understand the implications when you think about geographic information systems. You'll be shocked to know, I guess you won't, but a lot of people would be shocked to know how difficult it is to even get a single unique identifier as an address at a state level or even at a local level. One of the biggest innovations I remember in the district was having a MAR, which was a master address repository, so that whether it was the fire department, the police department, the social services across the district, they would all standardize in a single address so you knew where that address was, instead of having 40 different databases with unique addresses and trying to figure out, well, how do you map an address from one system to the other. We see similar problems, obviously, at the federal level as we look at whether it's data architecture or whether we look at what's happening across the various investments that we're making. Shamindra here has done a great job in terms of driving from an OMB perspective as we think about the federal enterprise architecture. But there's much work to do, especially when you look at the agenda that we're focused on in this administration. One of the things that happened in November, right after the election, was that for the first time, the President created a transition team that was focused on technology, innovation, and government reform. Never before in a transition did you have a team that spent its energy thinking about what does a 21st century government look like when it comes to leveraging the power of technology and unleashing the power of technology in the public sector. And one of the areas that we're really, really focused on is thinking about how do we invest in technology so we get outcomes? How do we abstract the complexities of information technology so that we're delivering real service?